Good morning. It's July 6th, and we're in Acts 24 today. And this is one of those episodes that I think is kind of interesting, even though it appears in scripture for us. But at the same time, it then adds the kind of details that would only be recorded if this was actually what happened. Because why include this if it didn't actually happen? And now we have Paul being brought before to trial, really, in Caesarea. He's been brought there as part of a protection for him, protective custody, because he would have been murdered probably if he had remained in Jerusalem. And so God has plans for him to go on to Rome. And Paul finds himself there in Caesarea. And it's interesting that the high priest at that time comes personally to Caesarea. Ananias is his name. He went down to Caesarea with some of the elders and a lawyer, and they're going to charge Paul in front of Festus, the governor there. And this would not have been a place that they would have normally gone. This is a place that's abhorrent to the Jews. In fact, when Paul makes when Peter comes back after talking with Cornelius in Caesarea, he has to make explanation for that when he comes back to the Jerusalem Jews. So this was a place they would have normally avoided. So it shows their passion in persecuting and trying to stamp out the way, as it's called here, that Paul is following the Christian way, if we want to put it that way. And this kind of goes back and forth, but there's just a little bit of an aside here. The verse 27, it says, when 2 years had passed. And I talked about that the other day. Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus, but because Felix wanted to grant a favor to the Jews, he left Paul in prison. So there's 2 years that pass here, a long time in anyone's imagination and anyone's lifespan. Can you imagine giving 2 years of your life to prison just because somebody is looking for a bribe from you at that point? So protective custody, yes, but protective custody for 2 years seems like excessive and almost without meaning, except again that we understand that this is the time when Luke comes and is able to spend time with Paul in hearing his side of the gospel here. But why record this unless it is what actually happened? And part of what I think Luke's intention in recording this is to show the legality of Christianity, that there is nothing illegal about it, especially in terms of Roman law. It might be something that makes the Jews upset, but it is not anything that's illegal within the Roman jurisdiction and Roman law. And so this is, I think, an important point for the spread of the gospel to the places that it's going, is they're not doing anything illegal by doing that. Now, it's also not a primary concern, I don't think, of Christianity that we only operate within the law when the law itself is immoral, but it is something, at least the beginning of this spread of the gospel, that is important for the survival, early survival of the church, is that it fit within the rules of Judaism, which also is then given protective custody by the Romans. And so I think it shows us that we ought to live as much as possible within the law as well, that we shouldn't be too quick to try to countermand it. I know there are many things in our society that are becoming law that are abhorrent to God and His laws, and I'm not saying that we should endorse all the things that are endorsed by our society, but neither should we look for a fight with governing authorities when it is in our power and when it is within our theology to avoid such things. So we ought to be people of peace and pray for peace under our governments as well, even when that's difficult for us.